I famously declared in the title of the video the worst AAA port of 2023 for this game, and it's Jedi Survivor. And I gotta say, this one, covering this one at launch, it was, after The Last of Us Part 1, and I just couldn't believe it. It was also Unreal Engine game, and I just went in with like the worst expectations because they showed off like preview video of this game, and the preview footage was like super stuttery and just messed up looking. Did not look right. They did not demo the game off well, however they were demoing it. And then I loaded up, and like the first thing I saw when that like ship in the initial, I'm talking about the initial launch version here, the ship just crosses in front of the screen. There's a massive shader compilation stutter. It's the first thing you see in the game, and it causes one. And then I get further into the game, and I realize it's not just shader compilation stutter. That's almost actually like a smaller subset of the issues here, like it was in Dead Space. The biggest issue is just like everywhere you go in the game world, especially the more dense areas of the game world later on, Kobo, you get like just incessant stuttering on no matter your rig, no matter your settings. It's just like, it's always present in the game. And
it does not feel smooth ever. This game doesn't feel smooth on any PC, I will maintain. Yeah. And I feel like anyone that thinks it does feel smooth is simply not seeing the issues, because it's not just stutters. There's also issues with camera translation and the way it actually moves through the world, and just so many other little issues like that add up to something that feels terrible on the PC. And
it's so bad. Yeah.
It's really upsetting too, because the game itself is very well made, but
it seems that way.
It's terrible on PC. And frankly, the original game also had major issues on PC. And guess what? Never fixed. I loaded it up Jedi Order, or was it Jedi Fallen Order? Fallen Order right before I started Jedi Survivor, because I wanted to talk about the fact that the first game was never fixed. And I was playing that game on like a 12900K, and I was still finding big frame time spikes all over that game, especially like when you get to any of like the more open Dark Soulsy areas of the game. And the same issue, even more, just more so in Jedi Survivor. It's arguably worse than its I would say prequel. It is.
Yeah. And for me, the one thing that really disappoints me is they did start patching the game. They did bring up the performance patch on patch in certain areas of the game, like in that Kobo stage that I would always bench over, and I talked about multiple times. I don't even need to talk about it anymore. It did get better over time, but the core issues were still there. The stutteriness and like the CPU load just not making any sense. Like you can still load up the game now after all the patches. You could turn on frame gen, whatever, and the game will still stutter in the exact same areas as it did at launch when you start getting into the game. The CPU performance in the opening credits like stage of the game, that like Coruscant stage, it's still just as poor as it was at launch. Like it's just a game where they patched it, and like the patches, they nominally increased like the frame rate, the average FPS, but it doesn't really matter so much so if the frame time spikes are as bad as they are. So yeah. That's the way it is, and it's really sad to see, because I think there's probably a quality game in here. I only hear really positive things about people who are playing through it and ignoring the issues, or just like taking them in stride. But for me, as someone who enjoys visual fluidity in their games nowadays, it's like one of those games that I just really can't play. It just annoys the heck out of me.
It's I'm bummed out too, because I like what I've played, but I had to put the game down because it was just the performance issues were bothering me. And then on console, the image quality was so lousy. They fixed it somewhat in terms of performance there, but the game just it doesn't run well on anything. Like the whole thing feels like it's been spoiled by some of these technical issues. Right. And that's really, really unfortunate, because I loved the original game, and yeah, I wanted to love this game as well, but I just can't right now. And it's one of those cases where once you see these issues, it's just really hard not to be bothered by them, right? Like, and I couldn't do it. And as a result, this is definitely one of the most disappointing games of the year as a result of the technical issues. And it's become kind of our inner company whipping boy for this, just because it just, man... Yeah, they missed the targets so much with this release.
They really did. And it's one of those ones that, like I say in the video, I almost think like it makes a mockery of like you trying to upgrade out of its issues.
Yep.
Rich made a video about Arkham Knight a while back about how you can, over like a decade later, you can somewhat iron out the issues. It's still technically there underneath it all.
Yeah. It's not fully fixed, but
yeah. But like here, where like I even show in the video that I made on it, the update, that even if you like lock the frame time and the frame time graph is producing real new frames like each time, and it's like a perfect 16.6 milliseconds per frame, the animation in the game stutters at the same point it would when there's a normal frame time spike. And it's just like, you can never get the game looking smooth. And I actually honestly have no idea when the game will ever look smooth, like if it really will.
It may not be possible. They never fixed the original, and it seems like they've stopped supporting the PC version of this one as well. I feel like the only hope is like running this on a more powerful console years later will at least maximize. I think it uses dynamic resolution scaling. It should
do that.
It should allow it to hit the ceiling and also run consistently.
Hopefully,
we'll but it's not good.
That's not good. And it's, like I said, just a shame. And it's one thing that I didn't like making it my whipping boy for the year, because I don't like being negative. If there's one thing that I need to say about this video, this is a negative video with positive aspects, but I actually prefer the good story. I always want to talk about it. I always love playing a game and enjoying the technical aspects of it.
I don't like these types of things either, really, but I felt we're doing this because of the fact that we don't want to see these types of releases anymore. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to necessarily change anything at large, but I think it's important to get this out there so people understand that a lot of gamers are affected by this, especially in the PC space. And we need some hope that it's going to get better, I think.